Hi, welcome to our Y.E.S talk. Today we have the Arthritis Foundation with us today. They're going to be giving us tips and tricks and helpful hacks to live your life every day with arthritis. I have Jessica Barrick with us. She's the executive director of the Chicago location of the Arthritis Foundation. And I'll let you take it away from here. Jessica, thank you for being here.
Oh, it is my pleasure. We are so excited about our partnership with you and happy to be doing these presentations to share information and resources for the arthritis community. As you mentioned, our topic today is life hacks, making your daily routine more comfortable. As I'm sure many of you are familiar, arthritis can cause everyday activities to feel difficult, but with the addition of certain strategies and what we call life hacks, you can make your daily routine a bit more comfortable. Our goals today are fairly simple. We're going to learn some tips to help streamline daily tasks, and then we're going to share some Arthritis Foundation resources with you. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to one of our leadership board members, Stacy Samanis.
Hello.
Stacy is a GPT, and she is passionate about empowering individuals with arthritis to live full, active lives through support, education, and compassionate care. She encourages those living with arthritis to live fulfilling lives despite the daily challenges they may face. Stacy has been a licensed physical therapist for 19 years. Her doctoral project was on education for those with arthritis and pre-surgical education prior to joint replacement surgeries. She has several family members with arthritis, including her son, her husband, and her father. And so, Stacy, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'll come back at the end.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm very passionate about helping the arthritis community. There's a lot of things we can do in our day-to-day lives that even though some days are better than others, we can try to help have more of those good days. And those start from the minute you wake up in the morning. Most people will benefit from having some warmth throughout the night. They make things like heated blankets. My son actually even has a heated bed pad. He doesn't prefer the heated blanket, but you can even get a mattress pad that are heated now. And sometimes those are really great, especially for those that are suffering from back pain and the likes of that. And it's all about preparing the night before for the next morning. So when you get to bed at night, you want to wear comfortable clothing, and we'll talk about dressing in a little bit. But if you're able to move easier and adjust yourself during the night and you're not quite tossing and turning and you can get yourself comfortable, that's definitely going to help you in the morning. And that includes, we don't have it on the slide here, but that includes choosing the right pillows. If you're a side sleeper, you want something a little bit thicker. If you're sleeping on your back, you might want something a little bit thinner, but definitely something that's going to support your head and neck so that way you don't wake up stiff from that aspect in the morning as well. A lot of folks love to keep their medications right near them so that way they can just have some water and their medications when they wake up in the morning. As long as you don't have little people around that can get into them or pets, that is a great option. There's a lot of options now that you can get from the pharmacy that has easy to open containers. And I highly encourage you to look into that if you have difficulty with your fingers and your hands. And also beds in general. So make sure that you have a pretty supportive mattress. And most mattresses now you can get so that way they can come with the adjustable base. That can help you get up in the morning by raising you up. You can, if you don't have an adjustable base, you can also obtain bed rails that can help you to pull yourself up in the morning, especially if you're sore. We want to make sure you're loosening up in the morning too. So sometimes even just doing some simple, knee slides and ankle circles, those will help you before you get out of bed. I know that definitely helps my little guy in the morning too, to kind of loosen up from that aspect of it all too. We'll go to go to our next slide here. Yep. So water all throughout the day. Water is very important. Make sure that you're drinking plenty of water during the day. You can talk to your physician to base off your individual needs, but staying hydrated in general is a very important aspect to your overall health to help your entire body function well. And if your body's functioning well, it's going to make your joints feel more comfortable. There are different teas and different electrolyte drinks that you may benefit from. Again, talk to your physician if you have any concerns about your kidneys or things like that. But in general, making sure you're also choosing a water bottle. Sometimes I have one right here. This is great for some people and not for others. If you use your thumb to push it open, that might feel good or not good. Some of them just have a simple button that you can push. It's a little bit easier. Or even just straw-based cups. If you aren't concerned about it spilling on the go, sometimes those are your best option because you don't need to do a whole lot to screw on a cap or things like that. Same goes for if you're having your morning coffee or things of that, choose a coffee cup. If it's a travel mug, that's going to work for you as well. And these are some of those stretches that we were talking about. Ankle circles is what our first picture. You do not have to hold your leg up in order to do those. You can keep your leg down. Some people get bored with the circles, so I tell them to write the alphabet, go through the entire alphabet with each ankle. That way you're getting all planes of motion to loosen up your feet. You can definitely stretch your hands out, sometimes just stretching them really big and then bringing them together and out again can help. If you're able to, you can touch each finger back and forth a couple times. And then the overhead, we'll go to the head and toe stretch in a minute, but the overhead stretch is, I feel, a very important one. Sometimes when you're in pain, you tend to clench down. And if we're clenching down, then our rib cage is going to get tight. And I know that seems like a silly stretch, but it's very important in order to get your deep breathing and just stretching all the way over for what you can. If your arms can't go up all the way, it's more important to stretch your torso part of that. You'll just get a little bit of a deeper stretch if you lift your arm up overhead. The head and toe stretch. This one you can do a couple of different ways. You can do it how the picture is showing you here. If your bed is low enough to the ground. If not, you can also grab a towel and just sit long with your legs out in front of you in your bed. And you can use a blanket or towel to help pull your ankles back towards you if you feel that your legs don't quite reach in order to do that stretch that's depicted there. There are a lot of resources that we can provide for you too if you need more options for those stretchings in the morning. On to the bathroom. Bathroom is a safety issue as well. So we want to make sure that you're safe. Sometimes when arthritis gets to be more advanced in our hips, our knees, our ankles, bathrooms can be kind of the riskier spot because they're slippery, they tend to be tighter in space. But adding things like grab bars, not just to the toilet like this picture depicts, but also in your shower or right outside your shower can be very helpful. And as far as the toilet itself, you can either get a raised toilet seat, which is an adaptation for the toilet that you already would have in your home. It just is a much thicker seat, so that way it raises you up. Or if you're thinking more long-term, they now make several toilet options that you can have your entire toilet replaced. That is, the whole toilet is raised. So you'd have the normal toilet seat, but the taller toilet bed. You could also pay attention to how you flush the toilet. Some, if you're going to buy a new toilet, some have buttons, some have the levers. And some people even, which we're going to get into a little bit, but some people will even go as far as using something like a grabber in order to reach over. If it's hard for you to bend down, fine, you can find other ways to grab the lever to flush your toilet as well. You can also be cognizant of what your toilet paper is on. Some of those are a little bit trickier. The ones that are spring activated that hold the toilet paper in, the more traditional ones, those can be hard. They now make some other ones where your toilet paper can just slide right on top of it in an upright fashion. So that way, then you're not even having to worry about the squeezing or the getting into the precision of the toilet paper holder. Continuing on for the shower chairs. So there's a bunch of different options that you can get for your shower chair, depending on what your needs are or your bathroom setup. The one that's depicted here in the picture is half in the tub and half out. So that way it's easier to sit down and then you're just turning into the tub. They do have ones that are fully, just the whole chair is in the tub, and those work better for standalone showers. So if you have a walk-in shower or just a shower stall, the chair itself, I would recommend that you might want to put a towel down on the chair, just so that way it's not slippery. And then that way it's also just right there, you have, that nice grip. So that way, if you're wet and sudsy, you aren't going to slide off the chair. The non-slip mats are important. You want to make sure that any bathroom mat that you have is non-slip. So that way when you are wet, it's not going to slide out from under you. In general, you need to be careful of rugs so you aren't catching your toes on them, especially if you're using something like, say, a rolling walker or a cane. You want to make sure that you're not catching yourself on them. But in the bathroom, they are important so that way you don't slip on the bathroom floor. And then as far as the actual shower goes, whatever is going to be easiest for you. Some people prefer to just have the shower head so they're not managing anything else, but it's also highly um, uh, makes things easier when you have the handheld shower, because then you can kind of just get to the areas that you need to get to without it being uncontrolled. So if you need help getting your hair washed, or if you have a caregiver that might be helping you, sometimes that handheld shower can be really handy as well. And then with brushing your teeth and things of that after you've gotten out of the shower now, there's a lot of adaptations that have come along recently. Electric toothbrushes are becoming more affordable and more popular. With the electric toothbrush, you can just turn it on and go instead of having to do the tough scrubbing with that. The flossers they have like little sticks on them, and they have long handled ones now too, so you don't even have to get just the real little ones. And so that makes it easier. You don't have to have the dexterity in your fingers. You're able to easier get into between your teeth and make sure that that oral hygiene is great, especially if you're on a biologic or medication that can reduce or have problems with your immune system. Keeping your teeth clean is highly important. So make sure you're not lacking on brushing your teeth and getting them flossed, and your yearly checks to stay healthy from that way. And as far as the toothpaste tubes, again, same thing. If it's easier for you to find a flip cap toothpaste versus one that you have to screw on and off, they even have pumps now. And I just recently found on Amazon, you can buy adaptive, they look like silicone little tops that you can take off the one that the manufacturer comes with and put this little silicone top on. So that way you can just squeeze it without having to mess with the cap every day. They also have options that help you to squeeze the toothpaste up. Um, and so there's definitely lots of options when it comes to brushing your teeth to make your morning and evenings a little bit easier for that. Dressing. Okay. Dressing can be a really hard and exhausting part of the day if you're dealing with a lot of pain. The first thing that I would want to say is if you're getting dressed and you have an arm that's sore more than the other, you always want to put your sore arm into your shirt first. So that way it's not trying to twist to get it into the other sleeve. Figure out which options work better for you. Some people prefer button-up clothes because then they open wider, and some people prefer the pull-on clothes because then you don't have to deal with the buttons. There's also a lot of options now, some that come with zippers, some that come with Velcro closures. If you look up adaptive clothing, Kohl's carries a line, at least they have been carrying a line, that has nice Velcro closures that are very conducive to dexterity issues. The picture that you're seeing here on the top, that is a button aid. So it'll help you put it through the buttonhole and then loop it around the button and then pull it back through, kind of like threading a needle. And that one is very handy. My grandfather actually has one of those, and life-changing for him. He's super excited that he can wear his button-up shirts independently again. It's not pictured on here, but I did bring today, if socks are an issue, there's also a lot of versions of this out here. Some are more flexible than others. This is a sock aid. So you'd slide the sock over up here by your, up by your arms, and then it has a string and you drop it down by your foot. And when you pull it up, the sock is now on your foot. So there's lots of versions of sock aids out there if that is tricky for you. And the same thing goes for pants. You want to find something that's not overly complicated. Choosing pants that are pull on or have an elastic waist is going to make your life a little bit easier than something that has 5 different buttons on it. And there are a lot of really nice options for those now too. Pants that look, very professional and very nice, but are also easy to put on and to fasten. Shoes. This is something that we find very important in my realm. A long-handled shoe horn I have one of those here. So this is a long-handled shoe horn. They come in various lengths. So depending on your height, you can get ones that are longer than this, ones that are much shorter, and even ones that are quite much shorter if you need it for traveling purposes. This one actually unscrews, so it's easy to pack. Like if we wanted to take it on a trip, we just unscrew it and put it in like a Ziploc bag and throw it in the suitcase. This is great because it helps save your back, your hips, your knee. It's going to make getting your shoes on much easier. Um, there are a lot of shoes now that have slide-on options. I'm not associated with them, but Skechers, in particular, they can have some really great slide-ons that look like typical gym shoes. They have great grips on the bottom, which I like because some of the other shoes that you just slide on can be quite slick, like loafers and things like that. So you want to make sure that whatever shoe you're choosing has a solid um, grip on it. So that way, especially in the winter, you're not going to have any worries about slipping and falling due to the slipperiness of your shoe. You want to make sure that you have a good arch support. You may need to consider orthotics, which your physician can help you with to give you that arch support. Having a solid support of your shoe, you want your ankle in great alignment. So that way you don't have excessive stress on joints from not being in proper alignment. If you do prefer a more traditional shoe, you have Velcro options, you have elastic laces. Some of the elastic laces look identical to regular shoelaces, and some look like little bungee cords or like little corkscrews. And you can buy those at most stores. Walmart would have them, Target. I've seen them at Myers before. I'm sure Amazon would carry something like that as well. So making sure that you have good support, but that it's easy to put on and off is a priority when you're looking for shoes. Jewelry. There are a lot of options. And again, this is probably for, dexterity and things like that. It can be hard. They make earrings that have magnetic clasps on them. So that way you don't have to get into the tiny little pierced ears. Sometimes even if you do have earrings that are pierced, they have ones that just snap close like a little lever. Those are typically a little bit easier than the tiny little earring backs. You can have adjustments made to rings. So that way you can get it over arthritic knuckles. I recently had to have my rings resized because I have a little bit of arthritis in one of my knuckles. They can either, if you have to make it larger to get over your knuckle, there are little clasps that can go on to help make it so that way your ring isn't gonna just slide around when you're on there too. And then as far as how you're storing your jewelry, you can have it either like laid out on a tray or have something that's easy to open and close. So that way you're not fighting to get into these little tiny boxes that some of the jewelry boxes do have. Traveling. So traveling, everybody's going to be a little bit different depending on what part of your body your arthritis is affecting with this, but having supportive seating is going to be important, especially on a longer trip. You can have things like lumbar support pillows. Those are fairly inexpensive, but a huge help when you're riding in a long time. And whether that could go in a car, it could go on a plane, a train, whatever you're sitting on for a longer period of time, having that good lumbar support is definitely going to help you. They make it cushioned steering wheel covers now too. So again, that can be good for a couple of reasons. One, just the comfort of it being softer. But two, if you're having trouble gripping tight, it builds up the steering wheel a little bit. So that way you don't have to hold it quite as tight when you're driving for a longer period of time. You don't want your hands to tucker out when you're, 2 hours into an 8-hour drive. Using your car's technology. So the things like cruise control can help you with that. Even some of the voice controls that we can do on our cars now, if you have the advancements with that, those can use those to your advantage. So that way you're not reaching for the steering, or sorry, for the radio or things like that. Try to use some of those voice commands that come with the technology now. And don't be afraid to take some breaks. It might take you a little bit longer to get where you're going, but you want to feel good when you get there. If you drive for long periods of time and you're just so sore and stiff that you can't enjoy your destination, that kind of will take the fizzle out of that excitement from vacation. They also make now even seatbelt, things that help you pull your seatbelt across. So if that is difficult for you, that's something else you can look into, is for helping with buckling, because we definitely want to make sure we're buckled up when we're driving. And even sometimes wearing compression socks. Again, talk to your physician, but sometimes helping with blood flow on long trips can help us to feel better when we get there as well. As far as packing goes, anything with wheels on it is going to be easier than what you have to carry. Um, the ones that have the 360 wheels tend to be even a little bit easier than the ones that just roll, front to back, because then you still have to kind of twist it around when you're turning corners and things like that. Um, at an airport, don't be afraid to ask for help. They very often, especially if you call ahead of time, they will tell you what time you have to be there, and they will make sure that they have somebody there to help you to your gate. So if walking is in trouble, especially walking with luggage, arrange with the airline to help you get to your gate comfortably. Because again, we want to get you on your trip to a comfortable spot, not get there and be miserably sore. Um, we want to stay active, right? So with arthritis, it can be hard sometimes, but you want to stay as active as possible. Keep moving, even if it's gentle exercise throughout the day or a short walk throughout the day to what you can handle. Um, if you need to use things like a cane, a walker, they have the rollators that have the chairs on them now too, and baskets. Use all of that to your advantage. The walkers with the baskets are really nice, because then you don't have to carry the things. You can place it in your basket, and that will help conserve your energy as well. Making sure that your assistive device is fitted properly is also important. An ill-fitted device, like if your cane is too high or too short, that can actually cause more trouble with your balance as well as your energy conservation. So they are definitely have a very important use when used appropriately. Um, you want to use them, like I said, for protecting yourself from falls, and for that energy conservation piece. Maintaining a good posture, sitting up nice and tall, and trying not to slouch or be in an ill-fitted, say, if you're sitting on a couch for a long time, maybe that's another great place to throw in that lumbar pillow behind your back, so that way you can be up taller. Be aware of what you have in your home or in other people's homes. Again, going back to those rugs, great in slippery areas, but you don't want to catch your feet on them by, a beautiful dining room rug is great until you cut your toes on it. Cords, we have a lot more technology in our homes now. So if you need to use cord organizers or be aware of them, try not to have the cords crossing into your busy pathways. And don't be afraid to use things that are there for your advantage. You can hold on to the railings on the stairs or the banisters if you need them, for balance as well. Don't be afraid to do that, especially on outdoor steps, especially in Illinois in the winter. We want to make sure that you're staying safe, with those as well. Lifting. This is showing two different ways that people tend to lift. And I know that it can be hard if you have arthritis in your knees and hips, but bending over the way that the woman in the first picture is depicting, that can definitely lead to more problems. You want to make sure that if you're able to bend and lift with your legs and not rely on your back as much. If you need help, do not be afraid or try to find a second helper. Even if it seems silly, you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. So if it's you have somebody else help lift it for you. The other option that is a great way to think about it is, can you take and make the load lighter? So you might need to make 2 or 3 trips, but it might be easier to do that than to try to take one heavy load. Like we're always all tempted to carry in all the groceries at once, but maybe if you take a few more trips, it will actually save energy and pain, in the long run. So just make sure you're very careful with your lifting techniques. Office setups, whether you are in your home or going into an office, it can make a big difference, especially if you have an office job where you're sitting a lot. You want to make sure, one, that you still get up and take movement breaks. Get up at least, once an hour or so, and take a short walk. Stand up every 20 to 30 minutes. So make sure your blood keeps, pumping with you to keep you all loosened up. Having an appropriate desk chair. Um, Sometimes you might need to upgrade that as well. They make chairs now that have different height armrests. They can tilt, they can, spin, they can do all the things. But if it doesn't fit your body well, you're still going to be sore. So having a nice desk chair that gives you the lumbar support and the armrests that you need is definitely beneficial. They also make different kinds of keyboards now. So it might take a little bit to figure out the typing differences on some of the new keyboards, but they're better for your wrists. And if you do not have those type of keyboards, they make nice foam wrist supports that you can put directly in front of your keyboard. And that can also help support your wrists. So that way, while you're typing, you aren't fatiguing in those areas. You can even at some, they have standing desks now. So some, they make desks that are regular height, and then they can also lift up and down depending on where you're at. Those are great for a couple of reasons. One, we all are different heights. Some of us are very short. Some people are nearly 7 foot tall, and not all desks are created for one, for the one height. So you want to make sure that your desk, and I think that we're getting to that in like next slide or so. Yep. But you want to make sure that your desk height is appropriate. So that way, your arms aren't up like this, or you're not, leaning over to get down to the desk. It's another very important part to go along with the chair. Yep, and here we go. So just how this is pictured here, you want your elbows close to a 90-degree when you're typing, and you want your feet to be able to be flat on the floor without your knees up touching the desk. Your monitor should be within your eye line of vision. You don't want to have your head straighting up or down. Depending on the size of your monitor, that might mean that you need something to raise your monitor up. But again, you don't want to be straightening your neck by looking, way up or way down all day long while you're getting your work completed. And for non-office work, so there's a lot of things that can help. Toolboxes can be really heavy, especially if you're carrying them and commuting with them. One option that I've seen recently that I really liked, they're starting to make some tool backpacks. So that way you're not just carrying it all in your hand and your shoulders and making it that way. Sometimes if you distribute the weight, that can be really beneficial too. They're really nice. They have organizing, different things for your wrenches and your different, bits and things like that. So that is one option I'd like to say. The picture depicting here, it has really great organization that can help so you're not digging through to try to find what you need, and it's all nice and right there. You can even, there's different modifications you can make to screwdrivers and hammers and things like that to build up the handle. Again, if you can't get a nice tight grip on it, it might not be the safest to use the tool. So building up that handle, if it's going to give you better control, will make it safer for you. You want to avoid extreme repetitive motions. And if you do have a job that has repetitive motions, see if there's a way that you can talk with your company about either modifying that or taking more frequent breaks. Or another option that's worked really well for some people is if their job is repetitive, that half their shift they're working with one type of the repetitive nature, and the other half they're switching with a coworker, so that way they're not doing it the whole shift. So that way you are being productive during the day, but you aren't expected to beat your body up for the entire shift that you're working. And then once you do get home, you want to make sure that you are still stretching. I would recommend stretching before and after work, so that way your muscles stay loosened up. Maintaining a healthy weight is important, so that way you don't have extra stress on your joints. And then depending on what you're benefiting from, heat or ice. Chronic pain tends to respond better to heat, but sometimes after you've been busy and you've worked harder than you normally do on a certain day, sometimes a nice ice pack will definitely help relax your pain as well. These are the stretches that we were kind of talking about during work. So if you do have the repetitive nature of work, just making sure that you're keeping full range of motion, because if you're always doing tiny little things, your hands are going to get tight that way. So again, stretching out the fingers, rolling your wrists, going in both directions is important. The picture on the bottom left here, I will just say that if you have balance issues, make sure that you're holding on to something, whether it be a counter or a chair, table, something that's steady when you're doing your stretches. And the picture on the right, it goes back to that overhead stretch again. You can do that one in standing as well as in bed. And the picture that's depicted on the bottom right there, that's actually a guy doing a doorway stretch, I'm guessing there. So you put one hand up on the doorway and it helps stretch your pec muscles right through here back. So that way it helps keep your shoulder nice and loosened as well. Home chores and maintenance. This is an area that I think is highly important because whether we're retired or working full time, whether you're 20 or you're 85, taking care of your home can be a big deal, especially with arthritis. The laundry room, if possible, to have a laundry room on the same level as a bedroom is ideal. That way you're not carrying the heavy laundry baskets up and down. They make a lot of laundry basket options now. I have them in my own home that have wheels on them. So if there's something that you can pull, it's going to be a little bit easier than having to carry the bulky laundry around too. Also, this is another option where you may need to take a couple of trips at a time instead of trying to carry a whole load of laundry at once, maybe split it in half and take half and the other half. Ironing, they make the ironing boards are super adjustable. So if you feel safe, you can iron while sitting down, just lower your board down. So that way that's safe for you. And we talked about the different laundry baskets. Again, this is another great option for the grabber. I actually have a fairly deep washing machine myself. So reaching in and pulling out the laundry or pulling it out of the dryer, so that way you don't have to bend down quite as far, is a huge help. This actually lives in my laundry room at my house to get things out of the dryer. And they're easy to use. So they come in a bunch of different lengths. This one's a little bit on the shorter side, but it works perfectly for us. If you have either if you're taller or if you have other ways that you need adjustments, this one also can spin. So even though it's this way, it can spin the other way to work with whatever way is most comfortable for you. As far as yard work goes, I'll move on to my other grabber now. They do make, this was our big one, industrial strength grabbers. Okay, so if you're doing yard work, say you have to go out, there was a big storm, you have to pick up sticks. It's going to really, really be hard on your body if you have to bend down, 150 times to pick up all the sticks that came down in the storm, or if there's, things in your garage that you want to pick up. This one has, instead of the lever, it has a button that you push, and you can see, if I turn it this way, you can see that it's a little bit more intense, and it has the grips on it here. See if I get it in the mirror. Has the grip, so that way you can even grab things like cans and jars, things like that. This one's a little bit more heavy duty when it comes to yard work. Held on here. So I highly encourage that. If you're into gardening, raised garden beds are a big help. So that way, again, you're not kneeling down onto the ground to do that. They make a lot of benches for gardens that are on rollers now. So you can sit down and kind of scoot yourself along instead of having to squat up and down every time with that. And I also recommend that if you're doing some planting, if you can start it on a higher table, for example, if you're planting your starters for the garden this year, just get a table out, or whether it be a patio table or a folding table, just so that way you're not sitting on the ground trying to get all those seeds started. They do make, and I did not bring that with me today, but they also do make things similar to the grabber that I just showed. They do have long handled weed pullers. They kind of look like a little corkscrew. You stick it in the ground and pull it up. That's very handy. So that way you're not bending down to have to weed every little weed by hand. And if you do have to be down on the ground, I also recommend the thick gardening knee pads. So that way, if you are on the ground, you're not just kneeling directly onto your knees. You have a nice cushion underneath it. And then as far as cleaning, so cleaning is another thing that you need to work on with your energy conservation. It can be a lot. So I recommend not doing it all in one day. Maybe set up certain tasks for certain days of the week. I'm going to, clean the bathroom on this day, or I'm going to do, dusting on another day. So that way you're not trying to do it all at once. Again, energy conservation, especially if you have arthritis, is big. I do have a picture to show you here for things like cleaning your shower or even heavy dishes. This is an electric powered scrubber. Okay. So you just turn it on, there's buttons on it, and it can go fast or slow. And most of them come with several different attachments depending on what you're cleaning. This is a lifesaver for cleaning things like showers. having a scrub brush and trying to get all in every piece of grout and really scrub off the mildew and whatnot, that's hard. But if you have something that's doing the hard work, you just have to hold the handle. That makes your life a lot easier, and it's going to go a lot quicker and more effective with your time. And those are also fairly inexpensive on places like Amazon. Um, so I highly recommend something like that with you, for you. Uh, Also consider that you might want to wear, if you have supportive braces like for your wrists or things like that. Again, if you're doing a lot of pushing and pulling of vacuums and dusting, make sure that you have good support of your hands as well. Um, Getting a lightweight vacuum, or even like a stick vacuum is a good option. And vacuums that are easy to empty as well. You don't want to have to worry about fighting a million buttons in order to be able to empty out your vacuum after you're done with your hard work. Definitely using devices around your home. So they make a multitude of ways to hold your tablets and your phones now. Use those to your advantage. This is another one where I also recommend with technology of using the voice commands. Whether it be on your phone, on like your Google Home, your Alexa, whatever it is, utilize those voice commands because that's going to help save having to scroll through everything, especially after a long day if your fingers and wrists are getting tired. Uh, Cookbook holders work for any kind of book. So if you have options like that for either in your kitchen or if you're an avid reader and just want something so you don't have to always hold your book up when you're reading it, that definitely helps. Um, and as far as other things that are listed here, key extenders, those are good for, they go onto the circle part of your key and they can help you to grip it easier. So you're, again, if it's a fine motor dexterity issue, adding any assistive devices is helpful. Doorknobs, I recommend, especially again, going back to arthritis in our hands, the lever doorknobs versus the turn doorknobs. If you do have turn doorknobs, they do make things, they almost look like little tennis balls now that make it bigger. So that way it's easier for you to grab to turn. But if you have the ability for the levers are going to be a lot easier to manage in the long run. And again, that's another place that you can use your grabber in order to help you if it's hard for you to do. They also have things like, oh, there we go. Right. No, I'm going right to the kitchen. For the kitchen, do what you can. There are a lot of options now, especially in the frozen and fresh sections of pre-chopped vegetables. That might be a great option for you if you prefer to not buy pre-chopped food. Something like a food processor that will chop it for you. A lot of the stand mixers now have the grating or even the spiralizer to make your zoodles and all those delicious things, especially as we get into gardening season here. Sometimes using something like kitchen shears to cut your meat into pieces, like say you wanted to like chicken cubes or something like that. It might be hard to do with a knife, but easier if you have scissors. Some people might find the knife easier. So you have to find what's going to be safe for you while you're chopping your food as well. Um, I do a lot of the slow cooking at home too. It's good. Then you have, the mess is already done. It's all in the crock pot and you can have it ready prepared for dinner. And then be cognizant of your dishes as well. Some dishes are very, very heavy. So you might want to choose to have dishes that are a little bit thinner or lightweight. Same goes for, bigger, heavy things. Like maybe if you can have somebody else lift the ham out of the oven, so that way you don't have to worry about the weight of all of that heavier food too. Um, Something that is tremendously helpful in our house, especially with my little guy, the storage containers that have the clicky locks on them. He really struggles with the ones that just peel off and come down because it takes a lot more strength for that and ability to put that into the correct place. But if he can just flip up the little locks on there, QVC even sells them. They sell them everywhere too. But uh, can't think what the brand name is right now, but the ones that have the flippy locks on them, that is a huge help to a lot of people.
We have Lock and Locks. That's the
There you
brand.
go. That's the name that I was trying to think of. Okay. These are some adaptive kitchen tools that you can use. The rocker knife, that actually works good for pizza. They also have a circle one now that you can just roll instead of having the heavy pizza slicer. The jar openers. So there's like a bunch of different ways that you can open jars if that's a struggle for you. The one on the top right that says jar opener, that one has like a lever on it. So that way you squeeze it, and then it, by the physics of it, it helps you unlock versus just using your hand. And then the electric jar openers. Those are really nice. If you have room on your counter, I highly recommend those because then you literally just put the jar there and you hit the button and it comes in and does that for you. Same with the electric can openers. Sometimes twisting the cans can be quite hard. I will recommend if the cans come with a pull tab on it already, use something to help pull up the pull tab to start it. So whether that be, you know, a spoon or a butter knife, something safe, start the pull tab up with that. So that way you're not trying to pry it up. Again, just the simple physics of it, something with a longer handle is going to make it easier to do. The loop scissors, those come in handy. They spring action themselves, so you aren't using your full grip strength. Those are good for crafting and sewing as well. And then the Dyson, that's like, that's for anti-slip. So if you have a hard time, say you want to bake a cake, but you have a hard time holding onto the bowl and the mixer, the Dyson helps make it less slippery on there. So that way your bowl is more likely to stay in place with a little bit less effort. And this again is just different ways of opening bottles. The one that says bad, that's just because your fingers are really tight here and you don't get a lot of strength versus your whole hand. So using something like the jar opener, that's yet another jar opener that you can get, are very, very handy to take some of the pressure off of your fingers. The meal prep. We actually really like doing this at my house. We actually had a sheet pan chicken last night, actually it was. And so that's great because then again, you're using less dishes. You can just put them all on one pan. There is hundreds of recipes online that you can use this for. And it's also helps you to eat healthy. So we haven't touched a whole lot on that today, but eating healthy foods and keeping the inflammation down is definitely going to benefit you. If you can have solid nutrition, it's going to be great. And if you can do it while it's being in one pot, that's going to make your life even easier come cleanup time. And again, getting ready for bed. This goes back to what we talked about in the beginning with getting up in the morning. Part of getting up in the morning is planning the night before. So, you know, you're wearing the comfortable pajamas, you are using the proper pillow. Something that I didn't touch on in the beginning, but we'll mention now is not only do you want to have a great supportive mattress, but sometimes adding extra pillows between your knees, under your, you know, your hands, wherever your point of pain is, having that extra support can go a huge difference, especially if you have back pain. Um, some people prefer to have, like I said, their medications right next to them so they can take them right when they wake up in the morning. Same thing with showers. The warmth of the shower. I know I love a warm shower before getting in bed at night. That can just help relax your muscles and get you ready into that sleep mode. Getting a great night's sleep is very important for your body. So you want to make sure that you're getting the rest so that way your body can rejuvenate and rest and be prepared for the next day. I also recommend getting, if you can, setting your clothing out the night before. That's just another energy saving technique for the morning. Jessica, I know you were going to talk, I missed one thing. I just want to show a couple of options for products for fingers, the different hand grips that you can get. So we have, this is a thick, these all just slide right onto a pen or pencil. This one is something that my son used for a long time. It builds up, but this can also be used on forks, knives, spatulas in the kitchen. They make a bunch of different ways to build up your utensils. There's also smaller pen and pencil grips. This one is just a smaller version of this. It is a little oval looking thing. So again, if your fingers can't go really tight, you can have a larger one. This one is even smaller yet, but it puts your fingers in the proper position. So that way you, again, you have good alignment through your fingers and wrists. Two more that I wanted to show. This one's a little bit different, but if you cannot grip a pencil, these are an option. It is, again, I found this one on Amazon, and you put your finger through it and then you write that way. So that way, again, if this is hard, and sometimes it can be if your fingers are really sore, this takes a whole lot less energy to do. And then this year now he's moved on to, they make these in mechanical pencils and in pens. And this is something I think that we're going to touch on in a minute. This is an ease of use certified product that we're going to talk a little bit more about. But a lot of pens and mechanical pencils now you can find with padded grips on them. So with these, it isn't as built up as, say, even this one, but it's cushioned. So you have a little bit of that give to help with your fingers as well. They do make adaptive scissors that we've seen earlier, but there's a lot of different other scissors out there. They do make some specific for sewing, for kids crafting, for adult crafting. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of options out there. Jessica, I don't know if you want to take over and talk some more about the ease of use certified products that we love very much.
Yeah, absolutely. First, Stacy, thank you. That was such amazing information. I was taking some notes about some tools I wasn't even aware of, and yeah, and so I think what you've shared has been very helpful. So thank
I
you.
hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to share a little bit, as Stacy said, about a program that the Arthritis Foundation supports, which is our ease of use certification. When a product is branded with this logo that you see here on the screen and says that it's ease of use certified, it has gone through a fairly rigorous vetting and testing process by the Arthritis Foundation and people who are experts in this area. And this seal indicates that this product that it's on is easier to use for people who have arthritis and chronic pain. We have a list on our website, arthritis.org, that will show you different products that have been certified as ease of use. Some of them are on this slide here, and the different retailers that offer them. The one on the bottom, the Advil liquid gels, you can, a little hard to see, but it has the ease of use certification, and that's in particular for the cap that is designated as it's easier to open for somebody with arthritis. Stacy, you mentioned the pen because of the grip. But a lot of the certification now, we're working with Target on packaging standards for not just Target products, but packaging in general, because, I don't know about you, but the words that might come out of my mouth sometimes when I'm trying to open a UPS box, a FedEx envelope, something of that nature. My husband's a little tired of me saying, who tests these? Nobody must test these. Sorry if any of you work for any of those companies, but they are not always the easiest to open. Clamshell packaging, don't get me started. And so we are working with a number of companies, not only on their specific packaging and products, but also to provide best practice standards for packaging industries as a whole, so that they can hopefully make their packaging easier so that you can actually enjoy and use the product that's inside them.
And Jessica, I believe that we've even seen some advancements in the cosmetic departments, mascaras that have bigger grip handles now and are easier to open. So there's a lot of companies that are getting on board with this. So definitely look out for the ease of use products when you're out shopping as well.
Yes, I believe it's Tilt Beauty Products. They were one of the first, if not the first, beauty product that we issued an ease of use certification for. And it's because the grip is thicker and easier for somebody to hold on to. A couple of notes about assisted device. Oh, didn't mean to go forward. Oh boy. Okay. Some insurance companies will cover assistive devices if a physical therapist or an occupational therapist orders. It has to be considered a piece of medical equipment usually to qualify for that coverage, but it is something to look into before paying fully out of pocket for an assistive device. Some of the things that might be covered: bed risers, handles or grips, bars in the bathroom, and bath benches, all of which Stacy mentioned earlier. it will probably depend on the type of plan you have and what your copays and deductibles are for your insurance. But a lot of these types of equipment can be found at medical supply stores, drugstores, or even larger online retailers. There are some assistive device companies or medical supply companies that offer discount programs. So that is also something to look into. And there's a website, hrsa.gov, that you can look into to find some of these devices and resources. I would be completely remiss if I did not share just some of the many, many, many resources that are available through the Arthritis Foundation. Most of these are on the website, arthritis.org, but it'll link you to our podcast. We have different webinars on an ongoing basis, usually at least one a month, if not more. We have a helpline that you can call or email. The phone number and the email address are on the website. We have trained experts who can get you to information through the Arthritis Foundation or connect you with a partner organization that we work with if it's not something that we directly address. We get questions on everything from diet and nutrition or exercise, insurance. We get a lot of questions about insurance coverage through the helpline. They're there to support you. And we also offer translation services through the helpline as well. On staff, we have somebody who speaks Spanish, but we also partner with a translation service if you need to be communicated with in a language other than English or Spanish. We also have a lot of opportunities to build community because for those that live with arthritis, it can be an isolating disease. There are instances where it will prevent you from doing things that you want to do. And we know that it's helpful from a mental health perspective to surround yourself with a community of support and with other people who understand what you're going through. So to that end, we have connect groups, which are our version of support groups. We have in-person meeting options as well as virtual support group options, especially for those with mobility issues. We know that getting out isn't always an option. And so there's probably 20 or so different virtual connect groups that we offer. Some are by topic. So if you have rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, or if you're newly diagnosed, there's all sorts of options of specialty connect groups on our website. We do virtual and in-person workshops. We're actually doing a version of this life hacks session in person in June. So that's not the only topic. We've done them on gout, inflammatory arthritis, pain management, a lot of different topics. And so that is an option. We also offer the opportunity for people to share their voices and their stories in terms of calling out and reaching out to their state and federal legislatures on policy that will impact the arthritis community. And last, but certainly not really last, because there's a lot more, and not least, we have a downloadable ebook for those that are newly diagnosed with arthritis. But all of this and more can be found on our website, arthritis.org. The resources, all of those that I mentioned, they are at no cost. And the way we're able to do that is by generous funding from community partners and individuals and corporations and fundraising events like our upcoming Walk to Cure Arthritis. And we have 2 sites locally where you can come out and join us and join with the community and show support for those living with arthritis, adults and kids like Stacy's son who are living with this disease. I can't tell you how important it is for people with arthritis to feel that support and know that people are out there and care and are doing things that make a difference for them in their future and their ability to live a life without limits. So Saturday, May 17th, we have a Walk to Cure Arthritis in Libertyville. And then Saturday, May 31st is our Chicago event. I'm going to be dropping flyers off at the YMCA. So we hope that you'll come out and join us and participate and make a difference in that way. So I do thank you for having us here and the opportunity to share this information with you. Please, we're here to support you in your arthritis journey. Nobody journeys alone, and so whatever we can do, we can be reached through our website, but also Illinois@arthritis.org.
Thank you so much, Stacy and Jessica. I learned a lot, and thank you on behalf of the YMCA. And we will be sure to share this on our YouTube page and with our participants as well. So again, thank you guys and have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.